So good evening guys, and myself Dinesh Kumar. So today we'll be discussing about GATE CSC coaching provided by IGC. So we this session will have two part. One is introduction to course, and second part a session on technical, a demo session on a technical subject which is COA. So this is about GATE Computer Science Engineering online coaching by Team IGC. And we are discussing here for GATE 2022 and 2023 supports. So this is about our course details. So we have classes which is 4 to 5 days in a week, and the timing of classes like weekdays it is like Tuesday to Thursday, 3 days, and it is 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Then we have Saturday and Sunday class. Saturday the timing will be 5:30 p.m. onward. Okay, it is 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. if there are two classes, and Sunday morning 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. if there are two classes. So Sunday there will be half an hour break in between, and Saturday there will be 1 hour break. The total duration of course is 500 hours. It is 7 to 8 months, and we will be covering all 10 subjects of GATE CSE. Apart from that, engineering, mathematics, and aptitude also we will be teaching. Okay, so the duration is 7 to 8 months, and total hours is 500 hours. All the classes are live interactive classes for all subjects. Okay, so there you can ask your any doubt in between class or before class or after class, like offline classes. And you will also get recording of class after every live class. If you miss in any case any class, then you revisit a recording of that class. And the complete syllabus will be covered before at least 1 month of GATE 2022. Okay, and apart from that you will get study material, class study material in e-form. You'll also get topic wise assignments in e-form. We have weekly online exams till November, like topic wise exams, and after that we have subject exam. Also we have full length exam. So this subject exam and full length exam will be in December and January month. And we will also have dedicated doubt and problem solving classes at the end when syllabus is in very good shape. And in between also there will be some doubt classes for a particular subject. We will also the fee for this entire course is 25,000 for GATE 2022, and for GATE 2023 it is 40K, so which is divided in two parts, 25K this year and 15K next year if you are looking for support for GATE 2022 as well as 2023. And there are some concession applicables based on merit, like if you have 9 plus CGPA in your bachelor's and all. And you will also get some references for technical references. So this is about the whole course. Okay, so anyone has any concern or doubt here regarding the timing or support or classes? Sushrit, Samir, or Chandana have any concern or doubt on this part? No doubt, no concern. Okay, so let's move next. So the next part is Team IGC for GATE CSE. So today Deepak sir will be taking demonstration for computer organization and architect. We have Sachin Mittal sir. Himanshu sir will be teaching tomorrow programming. And then we have Rahul sir, he take care of digital logics. And then Prashant sir, who teach mathematics. We have two Prashant sir, so they take care of mathematics and numerical aptitude. So currently we have 4 member in core CSC, and there will be some more member down the line by July. Some more member will be there in team to support. And the syllabus coverage like this, we are going to start with engineering, mathematics, COA, and programming here. Okay, instead of discrete mathematics, it's a programming. So in June, we will start next subject, data structure. And then from July, we will start algorithm, computer network, and discrete mathematics there. Then in September, we will have this theory of computation and compiler design. And in November end, we start DBMS, this computer operating system, COS, and digital logic. So this is how the syllabus coverage for this May batch, which is going to start from 2nd of May. And in terms of, we have shared the sample study material, assignments, sample online exam, sample videos. So you guys can go through any of these work, okay, to understand the kind of quality we provide. I will go through some of the work. These are our achiever for GATE 2021, and for GATE CSE the best rank is 1217, and the 2021 was first year for us to start GATE CSE. So this year of course we will be looking for 2-digit and 3-digit rank in GATE CSE. These are our contact details, and we are available on different platforms on social media. So you can follow us anywhere. You can see the so many YouTube videos we share for different concepts or previous year's paper solution or topper stock and other things. So this is about non-technical part, and I will showcase you guys some of our sample work. So if you go, then this is about our sample online exams. So you guys can go through any exams and you will feel it is like exactly like GATE exam. So this is one full length exam for GATE CSE. So you can see it is 180, 180 minutes. This is the virtual calculator. Okay. And it is quite quick. And you can see the different questions. Okay. So all three kind of questions we put, which is like MCQ, multiple choice, multiple answer, or multiple choice, single answer, or NAT. Okay. So these are our exams. And like once you solve, if you submit, you will see the result immediately. So here you can see the number of questions attended, the time taken in each questions. Okay, the your rank among all the people. So here you will find what all questions you have done correctly, wrong, and also those questions which you couldn't attend. So this was one of the full length exam. Yeah. So we'll come back to this, and then next we will see our sample assignments. So if you go to this page, okay, something is not working, it seems here. So let me check here. Yeah. So here if you come in study material section, yeah, so here we can see GATE Computer Science Engineering, and you can find assignments for every subject here, sample assignments. So this is how our assignments. So these assignments are for self practice, and if you have any doubt you can ask anytime, either in our WhatsApp group support, or you can ask before class or after class from our team members. So that was one assignments. You can see the compiler design assignments. This is one of the assignments for compiler design. You can see the assignments for data structure. So this is the assignments for data structure. So this is how we have good assignments for self practice, and apart from that we have exams also. So one of the exams I have opened, which was full length exam. Now I will showcase you guys topic wise exam. So you go again this open exam link, and you can see there are topic wise exams. You can see there is exam for discrete graph theory, or there is exam for complex algorithm complexity analysis. So if you go, you can see this is a topic wise exams. So you can see there are different questions here, and if you submit it, again it is like exactly like GATE. So you'll have good practice before GATE exam, or before going for full length and subject exams. So this is like throughout our course, you'll have many exams, and total around 80 exams we are going to provide you guys. So this is about exam part, and this is our IGC online platform. So once you guys join, you will get credentials for SAM, and this is our website. So this is also very important, because here every week's class schedule will be available here, and you can see the currently Feb batch is going on. So the schedule for Feb batch. So for Feb batch for GATE CSE, already we have completed engineering mathematics part, and digital electronics is going to be completed for them. Other subject which is now we are going to start is COA and programming. So it will be together with you guys. So this is about the timetable part, which always you guys have to look into. And the next thing which I would like to tell about, the classes will be taken on IGC online platform. So this is our IGC online platform. So once you guys join, you will get credentials for this. And here here you will see like this is discrete mathematics subject from last year. So all the classes, all the recording will be available here below class links itself. So suppose sir has taken class on graph theory for discrete mathematics. So you can watch a recording also. So you'll get HD quality recording, which you guys can watch online always. So this is one of the class you guys can see. And sir is discuss. And Okay. So this is about the recording classes. Okay. And I think we have covered most of the part of course. So any concern, guys? Any doubt or anything you guys want to ask from here? Yes, Arun, you have any concern on sub course part?
Sir, no, I don't have.
Yeah, so everything is clear what support we are providing, and it's a very comprehensive support. Everything you will get one place, and we have a good team to teach each and every subject. Okay, so this is the course. So if you guys have any concern or any doubt, I can address till the technical session is start.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Deepak. So I will teach computer organization architecture, the first subject, and in future I will also teach computer network and database. Dresser, if you want to leave, you want, it's no problem. I will take care. Hello, I'm audible. Okay, something is
Yes, sir.
happening. Yep, good. And any issue, any question, you can ping me or you can ask me anytime. No issue. Okay. Just USB. Some USB connection issue is coming. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, guys. So today this is the first class for the computer organization architecture, right? And okay, that is our agenda for the computer organization architecture. These topics we will study in minimum 35 hours or at max 40 hours to complete the syllabus of computer organization architecture. Guys, I'm audible now?
Audible, sir.
Yep. And you guys able to see my screen, right? Hello, any response?
Sir, yes.
Okay.
It's viable.
Thing is going on with the USB. It is taking time. Okay, guys. Sorry for the delay. Actually, my USB is not working on the graphic pad, so I'm not able to write. So in the introduction, the first part, introduction, is we will discuss why we are studying computer organization, where in the industry it will use the basic introduction, and the main thing, the internals in the computer organization, the internal of computer organization architecture. And this subject is a very important subject with respect to other subject. You can take computer network, you can take database, you can take digital logic, and you take any other subject, because this computer organization architecture is the base of every subject from the hardware perspective. You know, if the processor is there, if the memory is there, if the input output devices are there, then only the software we will install on top of that, right? So this is the very important subject in respect to in respect to computer science itself, right? And in the introduction, mainly, we will discuss the basic understanding of computer organization architecture, then the memory organization, the basic memory organization, how actually we organize the memory, that whatever you can say, a cache, a register, or you can say the RAM, ROM, secondary memory. In the secondary memory, different types of SATA or SSD, we will discuss. And actually how we place the data on the memory, and how the address lines are linked with the memory, how the data lines are linked with the memory, and how the control lines are linked, we will discuss the basic understanding in the introduction part. And then we will discuss the memory interfacing, how memory interfacing, the memory interface from the memory to CPU, how the interfaces is happening, we will discuss. And then system bus configuration, system bus configuration, because the system bus, you know, you most I assume most of the guys from the computer science background, system bus is contain data lines, control lines, and address lines. And we will discuss different types of system bus configuration. So these all about introduction, right? And the CPU, the next topic will be CPU organization. You know, in the currently in the market, i7, i3, i5 processors are there, but actually how the design, how the organization, which organization we are using, how many register we are using, what type of register we are using in the CPU, right? You know, in the CPU socket, registers are there, or your cache is also in the part of the CPU socket itself. L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache, depend upon what type of cache we are using. Some caches also are there which is outside of CPU socket. So in that CPU organization, what type of memory you are using with the CPU, a stack memory you are using, or register to register reference you are using, or general purpose register you are using. So these are the different configuration of the CPU organization. That part we will discuss in the CPU organization. That is a very good topic and important. And the next one, addressing modes. Addressing modes also we will discuss. See, ultimately data, where we are storing the data in the storage, in the RAM, right? In the RAM, we are storing the data. From the RAM, actually, it moved to the CPU. And inside the CPU socket, what type of memory we have? We have a register, we have a caches, right? So in the addressing mode, how actually we are moving the data from register to memory, memory to memory, or register to register. These are the different addressing modes, right? So when CPU generate the request for reading the data or writing the data, you need to see what type of addressing mode we are using. From memory to memory we have to write. We see, if CPU runs send the command, you need to transfer from one memory location to another memory location. That is a one addressing mode, right? So multiple addressing modes are there, multiple techniques are there. All the techniques we will study in the addressing modes, this part. Guys, till now is fine? Hello? And please give me response time to time, so that I can say, okay, everything is going fine. Maybe you can ping me. Yeah, yes, fine. And the next one we will discuss instruction set. different types of instruction set. See, data transfer instructions are there. Your data manipulation instructions are there. Data manipulation instruction means your arithmetic, your logical operations you will see, and others, and jump instructions are there, where branch instruction from one location to second location you need to jump. These are the different instructions. So each and every instruction, most probably from the basic computer organization, we will study, not advanced level of instruction, because there is no need from the perspective of gate exam. And the second, components, we will different types of component we will discuss, and performance of CPU. Performance of CPU means when you choose one of the CPU, there is pipelining concept and there is non-pipelining concept. So which is better in which type of scenario, right? We should use pipeline CPU, or you should use non-pipeline technique. So what will be the performance of the CPU? So that these two things are very important. So the pipelining comes in the performance of CPU. And the next, memory organization. Memory organization is a mapping technique. Is a mapping technique from where? From the RAM to cache memory. And where is the cache memory? Cache memory can be in the CPU socket, can be out of the CPU socket. So we will see the motherboard, we will see the RAM chip, inside the RAM chip we will see, inside the processor chip also we will see, where we can understand how many cores are there and everything. So in the memory organization, mapping techniques are there. Mapping means how actually the address from the cache side and address from the RAM side, how we are mapping. Be how the address of the cache at particular one block is mapped to the block of the RAM. So different types of techniques are there. Your direct mapping, your associative mapping, your set associative. A small changes will be there in next further techniques, so that we can effectively map the organization memory. And the last one is the IO organization. Now you know RAM we discuss CPU, then IO also are there, like peripheral external components will be there. You know your keyboard is there, your mouse is there, your monitor is there, right? So that from the keyboard we are giving the input, from the mouse we are giving the input, and from the processor and monitor is taking the output, right? So how the I from the keyboard, how the instruction goes through the IOs, right? Through the IOs directly to the CPU. And if you want to store from the keyboard to memory, so how is the communication between IO to memory with the help of CPU? Because we need CPU to transfer the data from one place to another place, right? So that different techniques are there, we will discuss in the IO organization. That is a basic level. So ultimately what we are discussing the internal of computer organizations, each and small part. And the internal means just internal means just we can operate, and how what is actually happening inside the CPU. That is the meaning of internals. And one more, there is a deep internal means we are not discussing about the RAM chip, how RAM chip is made, how transistor is working, how capacitor is working, how many lines, and what are the meaning, what element we are using for these data lines, system lines, and what decoder actually, what element and what chemicals they are using for the decoder. We are not discussing that part, because this is not a part of computer science. So if someone is from the electronic backgrounds, he know that very well. But mainly from the computer side, the internals, how the internals of computer organization is working, right? So this part we are gonna discuss in the computer organization architecture. Guys, any question till now? Say yes or no.
No
Clear.
doubts so far, sir.
Good. Okay, this is all about memory organization component there, right? So the first, let's start introduction. Why computer organization? Guys, give me just 1 minute. I need to change my USB cable so that the graphic card will work. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Now it's working, no issue. So, introduction, why computer organization? So mainly we okay. How a computer works internally. Mainly how a computer works internally. That's the main thing. So for understanding this how a computer works internally, there is little prerequisite from the digital logic and circuit design. Okay, I am losing this connection from the digital logic. I'm assuming little bit you know about digital logic. That's it. Circuit designs. A little bit. I'm not asking only. Maybe you know the meaning of the encoder. You know the meaning of decoder. That is more than sufficient for understanding computer works internally. And you know, in the computer organization, CPUs are there, right? RAM is there. IOs are there, right? In the CPU, if you I'm talking about if the CPU, then you know different types of processor: i3, i5, i7, i9, AMD. These are the different types of processor, right? And if you talk about the RAM, if we talk about the RAM, then 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, right? These are the different types of RAMs are there. And if you talk about the IOS, then you know keyboard, disk, mouse. These are the input devices are there. And the overall computer organization means a laptop system. You can say laptop. Laptop is one of the type of computer, right? Or normal computer, or maybe you can say smartphone, smartwatch, or IoT things. And you know the processor, mainly processor are two types of processor. At the big level, you know microprocessor. We talk about microprocessor, you know, you heard. And there is a microcontrollers. So that microcontroller and microprocessor, the CPU is a microprocessor or a normal processor where i3, i5, i7 and microprocessor. And the microcontroller, this controller where we use in the IoT devices. And the difference between microcontroller and microprocessor is microprocessor is only a chip of processing the data. That's it. Processing the data, which is including the registers and cache, some type of cache they are including. But in the microcontroller, everything is there. The RAM is there, IOs are there, everything inside itself in the microcontroller. A very small chip in the IoT devices, right? This all about this computer organization. And second thing, where you will use that part. Let's suppose if you are a hardware engineer, then you should know each detail of this internal computer organization. You should know the chips. Let's suppose I'm working in one of the hardware. Actually, I'm working in one of the hardware company right now, and on you know the phone, the processor chip, the Qualcomm Snapdragon chips are there. So we used to do programming on top of that. Snapdragon chips. So these chips, if we know these chips, then only we can write the software. So if you are a software engineer, then also you should know the internals of this computer organization architecture. If you know the structure of the and the design of the chip, then only you can write the program. So whatever, if you are a hardware engineer who is dealing with the hardware, or maybe you are a software engineer, at some points hardware is must for everyone, right? Guys, say yes or no. Just yep, good. Okay, from the basic we will start. Okay, before starting before starting officially, main thing is from the basic or small terminology I will discuss. Small. Why? Because we should be on the same page. first of all, right? From the basic, slowly I will go to the advanced level, right? Slowly I will go to the advanced level. And if your basic are very strong now, it is easy to revise each syllabus. So always remember, whatever I am teaching right now here, you need to revise by today itself, or at most by tomorrow itself. You need to revise each and everything, right? That just create this habit for full year, for this full year, until gate exam will not be there, right? The revision is must. First revision, then practice, right? So you need to create the passion for the computer science if you are looking for the master degree in IITs or topmost PSUs. So minimum top 100 rank you need, right? So revision is the first thing. Second thing is the practice, revision and practice. So don't think if I teach, okay, I got it, there is no need, I will read in the end of the exam. Don't do. Multiple time you need to revise this syllabus, multiple time. Maybe you can say 15 to 16 times. Maybe a computer definition, you need to read computer definition 15 times. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's the meaning of revision in the gate exam. Because in the exam time it will save your time, because each and every topic on your tips if you do revision properly, and that is actually required to complete the exam within the time. Okay guys, so what is computer? What is computer? Computer is just an electronic device, or you can say a digital device, because everything in the computer in the digital form, right? 01 or this one. Everything in the digital form, right? Oh man, what is happening? 010110, some notations, everything. See, your hardware is reading the binary information, that's it. So your hardware is reading the binary information, and the processor is computing on the digital information, on the binary information, right? After that, when the result will go to the output, this output machine from the CPU, he will decode the binary information in the human recognition code, maybe your English language, or maybe whatever the things. That is the meaning of computer. It is just an electronic device which is used to process the data under the control of programmer. Now the thing is, you have a program, one program, and there is computer CPU chip is there. If you give the stream of binary sequence, if you give the stream of binary data, what I need to do? Who will tell? The program will tell to the CPU, you need to do this execution on the data, right? Then CPU will do the execution on the data. Then whatever the result, it will go with the control of the program. Program is telling everything, means a program is a set of instruction. Program is telling everything. Then from the CPU, the data is coming, go to the particular output device, right? That is the meaning of computer. So you understood the meaning of program, a sequence of instruction along with data, right? And instruction means a binary sequence. Binary sequence is a instruction which is designed inside processor to perform some tasks. So our processor is designed like that. Their processor can read only binary data itself. That's it. Only binary 0101010101. That's it. So before the processor, other devices are there. They are converting the English language into binary form, or other language, maybe C language and programming language, into the binary form, other hardware devices on top of CPU. And data, binary sequence means some values there with the data. Let's suppose 0010 is there, so it means it is 2. This 2 I'm sending. Then again 0001, the 1 I'm sending. So and one of the instruction from the program, you need to do add. This instruction is coming to the CPU, okay, on top of this data. So 2 plus 1 means a binary addition will be there on the CPU. Binary addition will be there on the CPU. So it will be 003, it will be 3. So this 3 will go to the output device. That's it. That is the basic meaning of computer program, instruction, and data. Instruction is just a binary sequence of some to perform some task. Okay, let's talk about block diagram. This is your CPU, right? And the CPU you can consider i3, i5, i7, i9, or whatever, AMD. This is the CPU. Input devices are there. Here keyboard is there, mouse, your touch screen, scanner, and your graphic pad, and the outputs are there. Disks are there, right? Printers are there, monitor, and Wi-Fi card you can, if you want, right? Wi-Fi card. And these are the output device. And here memory is there, which is very important. Where memory is there. So the interfacing of this memory and this CPU inside the CPU dockets, the CPU means a CPU socket, and the CPU socket is containing everything, a processor and everything. Inside the CPU, we have a memory controller. This is very important term, memory controller. So this memory controller is actually handling this memory. How actually we need to write the data. The CPU will send the address through memory controller, and that address will go to the memory. From that particular memory, we are reading the data and do the execution like this. This is a part of CPU. This is the part of CPU, right? See, disk, SSD, we are using solid state drive, HDD, SATA drives we are using, pen drives are there, different hard disks are there. And your memory, okay, your memory is mainly your memory is mainly RAM or ROM, right? And this RAM is a volatile memory. Volatile means when the power is off, whatever the data on the RAM, it will be deleted. It will be deleted. So when the power supply is off, all the data will be deleted. And this RAM, 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB are coming currently. This is the size of the RAM. And the interesting part, like, let's see later the chip configuration of this RAM, right? This is the block diagram of computer organization. See now see the motherboard. Okay. So this is your CPU socket. This part, this is your CPU socket. Inside this, we put our CPU. A CPU socket means this is a different type of element who handle the temperature of this CPU, because when CPU is a very small chip, right? Very small chip, very so inside the CPU, if you'll see carefully, nothing, a very nano type thing, seems like a very nano type of thing. When you do the processing on the binary data, the temperature will be more. So these type of hardware, this type of element actually handling the temperature, that type of element nearby of the processor we are using, and that is very costly. Maybe actual CPU is maybe a very, you can say, in thousand, but when in thousand means 1000 2000, but when you use this element to handle the temperature of actual processing part, then it become costly. More the processor speed in the gigahertz, more actually you need that high level of element to handle the temperature, right? This is your CPU socket. Inside that CPU socket, actually your cache is there. L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache. I will discuss about these caches, and some other caches also there, which is outside of this CPU. That socket outside, it is also possible, right? And here register is also there. So from the cache, we are going to the register. In the register, which is very small, so that register is containing only 1 byte. That's it, 1 byte, only 8 bit they are storing. Maybe a 1 bit register, 2 bit register, right? 1 bit register means what? Flip-flop, right? These are storing, and the CPU processor are reading from this register and do the computation and put the result back, and from that it will go to the cache, from the cache to RAM, and if there's no space in the RAM, from the RAM it will go to the hardware device, hard disk, right? There is the like. Similarly, this part is the memory module where the RAM chip we will attach, where the RAM chip we will attach a 4 GB, 16 GB, and everything, right? We will see this hardware diagram how actually the chip will look. I'm not talking about all this configuration, which is very important. Only that part I will discuss, and that part that is very important. Okay, here this is the location where we attach the SSD, not at not hard disk, SATA hard disk, only solid state drives. This is the socket for this one. From here to here we attach the SSD, and other sockets will be there. Let's suppose here, from here we attach the hardware drive, right? So this is the on the motherboard we attach the SSD on this. And how the cache looks, okay, we will see guys. Understood the a basic understanding of motherboard? See, this is the SATA connection. Now you will see this is your SATA connection. This is your SATA connection, and very interesting things are there on the board. Lines on the even in the processor, some lines are there. Some lines are there. If you see in the this one, these from these lines actually the binary information is going, is moving from memory to main memory, memory to CPU or register, or you can say hardware drives. These lines, or we can say it's a system bus configuration. Guys, till now is okay? Any question?
So
Yep.
basically the hard disk drive is actually not inside the motherboard. It's like linked to the motherboard, but it's outside the motherboard.
The thing is, I said now, SATA connection, SATA hardware where the 100, 1 TB, 2 GB, whatever the hardware hard drives, magnetic hard drives, that is a connector. I told about that. This is the connector, right? A small connection on the hardware, that is outside. Of course, it is outside, right? This is the connection on that hard drive is attached outside. And I'm talking about solid state drives that actually fit on the this one. Maybe it is a part of it's not a part of motherboard, but the way we attach the solid state drives on the motherboard, it become the part of the motherboard, right? Why? Because the speed of the solid state drive is far better than SATA connection. That's why in today's world, in every computer, SSD drives are there. That is very costly as compared to hard drives. A normal your 1 TB hard drive, it will come for 4,000, 5,000. But when I'm talking about SSD, it is near about 14,000, 15,000 for the same space, right? Connector is there, right? You're right. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now see, that's an interesting thing in the processor part. Why I'm showing all this picture? Because that is very important. That pictures actually will gives you the visualization what actually the in the internal happening. So these features are very important for understanding each and everything. So I'm not giving our normal diagrams right now, just showing actually how the processor from the chip from the chip side looks. If you see, let's suppose this is a i7. This is a i7 processor. I don't know, man. Gain issue. i7 processor. In the i7, 8 cores are there. 8 cores are there. So this is your who do the computation. That is a processor. This is a processor who do the computation. Who do the computation like this. These are the different cores. And if you deeply, if you see that part, maybe you can't see, you need some lens for understanding what's actually inside is going on. And this is complete is a CPU actually. This is complete is a CPU. This complete is a CPU. Now, these all 8 cores are attached with the shared L3 cache. What does mean? L3 means third level. Third level cache is there. That is a part of CPU, right? Here we store the data. It means this L3 cache is shared by each core, and but independently in each core, 2 level caches are there, L1 and L2. That is a part of core 1. Similarly for core 2, core 3, core 4 up to core 8. So L1, L2 cache inside the core, right? L3 cache is shared throughout the all cores. And after the L1 is done, L2 is done, L3 is done. What about register? Register are very small, also in the core, which is very near to the computation part, which is very near to the computation part. And now see this memory controller. That memory controller, this one, if you see this memory controller is attached to the RAM. So how the communication between RAM to this L3 cache, it will handle through the memory controller. There are some register, there are some memory where the address will location means your instruction will be stored here. From that instruction will go to the data path, it will reach to the RAM, and RAM will read or write whatever the command is there, then it will return as per the command. Similarly, we have Q Uncore IO. So this is, let's suppose this is a IO controller, because you don't need to go through memory for doing the computation of the processor. IO controller is handling the IO devices. If I give the input from the keyboard directly, it will go to the CPU for doing the processing. Then if I have to store the output through the memory controller, that output will be stored on the file. Like this. Okay. Guys, any question? You can ping yes or no, maybe. If there is no question, you can write no. Okay. Good. Now, this is a basic understanding of computer organization. So the main thing and the internals we are going to study. Basic of memory organization. So this is your RAM chip. If you see clearly, this is your RAM chip, right? Now see clearly, this is your memory chip. That is one memory chip. That is another memory chip. That is another memory chip, like this. So normally we have 8 memory chips on the RAM, 8 memory, different. Or the memory chip is like if I will say in different way, it is like this memory chip means 64K into 8, like this. Similarly, this is also 64K into 8. This way the RAM we design different memory chip on the hardware, that chip, main chip. So let's suppose 8 memory chips are there on complete RAM, right? Like this. And each memory chip is we divided into cells. We divided into cells. One cell means 8 bit. One cell is 8 bit. One cell means is equal to 8 bit. That can vary also, but yeah, one cell is always 8 bit, not word. One cell means 8 bit. And how will you in the actually, okay, let me show you. That is very interesting part. That is very difficult to represent. Actually, I want to show you the hardware thing, it's a physical thing, that how actually where we are storing. But this is the upper part of the chip. If you go inside the chip, here very small things are there. Very small things are there. Actually, these are the cell 1, 2, 3, 4, and in between these two, the like so in between lines are there. This is a decoder. This is a decoder, address decoder. What does means? Whatever the address come, it will decode the address and enable the particular cell depend upon what information, what actually address lines are containing the data. It will enable the data. So it's like that. Let's suppose in actual, this is your memory configuration. Here cell are there. Here cells are there, and lines are there. Address lines are there, which is this is are the address lines, right? Let's assume. And now on the address line, data are 10120. Depend upon the number of that data, depend upon the binary number, it will enable the particular cell. From that particular cell, we read the data, we write the data. So whatever we need to do the operation, that read operation or write operation, that command will come from the CPU, right? Now see this diagram. This is your read write pin. Now if read is there, write is there, this pin will tell what I need to do on the scene. Okay, uh, this is your address pin. How many pins? 20 pins are there. 20 pins are there, right? And that is a address decoder circuit. This is a address decoder circuit. So it means if 20 bit data I am giving, so how many bits we can generate? 2 raised to power 20 combination possible from the decoder. 2 raised to power 20. So 2 raised to power 20 means 0 to 2 raised to power 20 minus 1. That will be the range of this one. This is the range, right? That will be the number. So 20 bit data is there. Let's suppose 0 0 0 0 0 up to 20. So that is 0. Okay, that 0th line I need to enable. Let's suppose this is 0th line. It will be enabled. So this cell will be enabled. Now let's suppose this 20 bit in other way, 0 0 0 0 1 1 1 1 something number. Let's suppose this is your 64. Let's suppose. So the 64 number in between this one, this is a repeat. So that cell will be enabled from the address. Now this cell is enabled and the operation is coming to read. So from that cell we read the data through the data line. It will go to the CPU for doing the processing, like this way, right? See now, this is actually a maximum number, the cell, this one. So how many cell in possible? 1 0 4 8 5 6, near about 10 lakhs. Near about 10 lakh memory cells are there in this configuration. If we are using 20 bit address pins, 20 bit address pins. So these are the pins. See, actually pins are inside, but this is the basic level of pins, if you say. But mainly the decoder configuration is this part, and inside this one, in the middle of this memory configuration, in the middle of this memory configuration, decoder is there. So you don't need to worry about that actual representation of memory chips. Main thing is this diagram. So why I'm telling that part? Because for your visualization, actually what we are doing, how we are decoding the bits into number, or how we are encoding the number into bits, right? Okay, guys, are you guys agree with me till now? Okay. So this is your address lines. Here I'm writing the data, like 1010 on this particular address. I'm writing the data, right? Similarly, here I'm reading the data 101. This one I'm 4 bit data I'm reading from that particular location. So this is a read operation. This is your write operation. A simple thing. Okay. Oh, I just talk about the memory configuration of the RAM chip. But what actually CPU is generating? What information CPU is generating to do the operation on the RAM chip? That is what I'm talking about right now. So if you see, CPU generate memory request to read the instruction from the memory, right? So first of all, CPU want to read the instruction. Read the instruction means from the program. You know the program is there. Where we will store the program? In the memory. because the functionality of the RAM is a storage, right? So program is stored in the memory. So from the program, but the line by line, let's suppose one line is a one instruction. So one instruction by instruction we need to read, so that the whole program we can execute. The whole program we can execute. So where actually the program is, that address we will send by the CPU plus the control signal. Control signal is what type of operation, the read operation you want to do or write operation you want to do. Read operation or write operation, this one. So these two information in the binary form, let's suppose this one is, let's suppose 1101, and this is your 0. So this 0 is read, and that is the address of the memory. So it will go to that particular. This is 8, this is 4, this is 1. It means 13. On the 13th location of the RAM is a 13th cell. 13th cell of the RAM, it will read the information, whatever the data is there. And the one cell size means, 8-bit. One cell is equal to 8-bit. So 8-bit data, and how the data will move from the memory to the CPU through the data lines. So 8-bit data means 8 data lines are there. That 8 data lines, one bit through one line, one bit to another line, another bit to another line. 8 bit will go to the CPU, and CPU will store in the cache or register, at last in the register. And after the register, actual processor, actual where the computation is happening, bit by bit, it is taking the data from the register, doing the computation, and again moving the data. Let's suppose A plus B is equal to C, right? So it will read the A data from one of the register, 1-bit data, let's suppose 1-bit data. Another from the B register, it will take the B information, do the computation, whatever the result, it will store into the C register, right? Like this. So bit by bit computation actually in the going, but the speed of the processor in the gigahertz, right? In the gigahertz means what? 10 to the power 9. Speed is very high. So we assume like within the second, a very large computation happens. And you can convert that gigahertz into time, 1/2 frequency, that's it. So let's suppose 2.6 gigahertz. So in particular 1.6 gigahertz, that speed is there. So 1.2.6 into 10 raised to power 9. Now you can see in that particular time frame that we can execute everything in 1 second. That is actually speed of the processor. So that gigahertz we can convert into time, Okay. So from this address bit, we enable the address of the cell. Okay. Okay. Memory chip configuration. Okay. Before this, (16 into 2 raised to power 16). This is your decoder. Oh man. Here we can write. This is a decoder I'm using. The address decoder. 16 into 2 raised to power 16. So this address decoder, the input is a 16-bit. So from where we are getting the 16-bit? CPU. CPU is generating a 16-bit address. 16-bit address. And the address is stored in the register or cache, you can say. But let's suppose cache is not there. Let's suppose cache is not there from the register. It will go here. 16-bit will go here, right? So 16 will go here. And that 16-bit, some values there on the 16-bit, right? Some values 0, 1, 1, 0, some number will be there, right? And how many combination possible from the 16-bit? 0 to 2 raised to power 16 minus 1. That number possible. Like let's suppose 4 bits are there, so 0 to 15 we can represent. 8 bits are there, then 0 to 63 we can represent. Or 10 bits are there, 0 to 1023 we can represent. That number we can represent. And from the 16 bit, the number will be there. That particular line of the cell, particular line of that, how many cells are there? 2 raised to power 16, 0 to 16 means 2 raised to power 16 cells are there. 2 raised to power 16 cells are there. Whatever the number, that particular cell will be enabled. And from that cell, data will go to the CPU via data lines. And in each cell, 8-bit data we are storing. This is how we are representing. That's why we always say the decoder in generic term, this one, n into 2 raised to n decoder. This is a n into 2 raised to n decoder in generic, right? Now see this. Now see this memory chip configuration. Number of address bit required to access the memory depend upon the memory capacity. This is your 64K into 8. What does mean? This 64K into 8, this 8 is the size of the cell. Size of the cell. And this 64K means number of cells in the memory chip. Number of cells in the memory chip. Okay, you can see here. So this is 6, this is 10, means 2 raised to power 16 cells in the memory chip, and each cell is 8-bit. So what is the size of your memory chip? Right? 2 raised to power 16 into 8. That number of bit is a space, right? Or in other, if you want to write, 2 raised to power 16 bytes is the storage space of this memory space. Which I said byte, it means this is 8-bit. So 1 byte means 1 cell. So that is the storage space for the memory chip. Now there is 2 way. If you know number of address bit, we can tell how many cells are there inside the memory chip. How many cells are there if you know the number of bits of address bits. Let's suppose 16 bits are there, address bit. It means 2 raised to power 16 memory cells are there. In other way around, if you know number of cells, let's suppose we know 2 raised to power 16 cells are there, then we can tell 16-bit address bits are there. 16-bit address bits are there. In both way. Through this operation, you know that log thing, log to 64K, it will come 16-bit. So this is 16. So 16 address bit. Guys, say yes or no. Any question on this? And this memory chip configuration is very important. Like alternative years, always one question comes from the memory chip itself. Maybe that a part of digital logic or computer organization is the same thing. Alternative years, question will come.
Sir, can you explain it once more?
Okay, where you are facing the issue? Can you explain on which point you stuck? Just tell me.
The examples are 64K into 8.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. 64K into 8. That is a memory chip. Let's suppose, okay, what I'm talking about, this is your RAM chip. Let's suppose this is your RAM chip. On the RAM chip, 8 memory chips are there. 8 memory chips are there. And one memory chip size is this one, right? One memory chip size is this one. Now see, this 64K means inside this memory chip, how many memory cells? 2 raised to power 16. That's the meaning of 2 raised to power 16, you know, right? And in each cell, the size of each cell is 1 byte, means 8-bit. The size of each cell is 8-bit in the bit. That represented is always in bit. So don't consider in bytes unless They didn't mention. Now see, 2 raised to power 16 memory cells are there, and each cell is a 8-bit. So what is the size of the memory chip? What is the size of the memory chip? 2 raised to power 16 bytes, right? Another way, 2 raised to power 16 bytes. Another way, if you write 2 raised to power 10 into 2 raised to power 6 into byte. So this 2 raised to power 10 means what? This is your KB. And this 6 means 64. So 64 kilobyte is the size of one memory chip. Now you're understood.
Yes,
From
sir.
inside the chip, if you want to enable the cell from inside the one memory chip, if you want to enable the particular cell, how many bits are required? 16 bits are required to enable the particular cell which you need to read or write as per operation. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, this is the easy one we discuss. Now let's see a little difficult thing. A little difficult thing, interesting thing also. Two K into 8 memories there. Okay, 2K into 8 memory. That is a complete RAM chip. This is a complete RAM chip. This is a 2K into 8, right? The meaning of 2K into 8 is, the meaning of 2 means 2K is the number of memory cell, right? And 8 is the size of the cell. That is the meaning, right? So how many address lines are required? How many address lines are required? How many address lines are required? Yeah, tell me. Now you understood how many address lines are required if you know the size of the memory chip. Anyone? Not clear? How many address bits? Line, if you line maybe a new word for you. I'm asking how many address bits are required to enable the particular cell if the size of the memory chip is this. Guys, okay, this 2K means what? The memory, number of memory cell, right? So this is one cell up to 2K. So let's suppose 0, 1, 2, it will goes up to 2 raised to 11. 2K means 2 raised to 11. K means 10, right? Minus 1. So how many? 11. 11 bits are required to enable the particular cell, right? Guys, are you getting like or stuck somewhere? Okay. I'm audible, na? Could repeat. Okay. Fine. 2K into 8 memory is there. So in the memory, let's suppose in the memory, 2K memory cells are there. 2K means what? 2K means 2 raised to power 11. Because this is your 2 raised to power 10 and this is your 2 raised to power 1. So if you add, it becomes 2 raised to power 11, right? Now 2 raised to power 11, 0, 1, 2, 3, 2 raised to power 11, it will go. It means 2 raised to power 11 is what? 2048 means 47. 2047 up to. So that number of cells are there. So to enable wait, to enable the particular cell, how many bits are there? See, or inside this, what we have a decoder, and in this is decoder is there, and here address lines are coming. This address is coming on the decoder, and decoder is decoding this address line to enable the particular cell, right? So how many lines will come on the decoder from the CPU? How many lines? 11 lines, because these 11 lines are sufficient to find out the particular number between 0 to 2047, because from the 11 bit the number representation will be 0 to 2 raised to power 11 minus 1, right guys? Now understood? So just ping me yes or no, maybe. Okay, fine. So we can go further. See, these are the very basic thing. Once you read now, you will understand everything. But this is the minimum requirement for understanding the computer organization. That's why I'm putting effort on this small thing. Now that part is done. Now, how many we are representing this address line A0 to A10. 0 to 10 means, so A is the address line, A0 to A10. This memory configuration is done, right? Now that is a one memory chip. This is a one memory chip. This one is a one memory chip. Now we want to implement, or means we want to create one RAM chip. The size of the RAM chip will be 8K into 8. I need 8K into 8. Inside the RAM chip, we have a memory chips only. The size of the one memory chip is 2K into 8. And the one, this is your RAM, and each memory chip size is 2K into 8. From this memory chips, I want to develop RAM. I want to implement this RAM. How will you implement? See. So this, how many cells they require in the RAM itself? 8K. It means 2 raised to power 13. 2 raised to power 13 lines, memory cells is there in the RAM. And in single memory chip, how many cells are there? 2 raised to power 11, right? So how many memory chips are required to implement the RAM? So 2 raised to power 11 into 4. 4 memory chips are required to implement the RAM. Then only it will become 2 raised to power 13, which is the requirement of us, right? So it means 4 memory chips are required. 4 memory chips are required. This is a 4 memory chips of 2K into 8. That part is done, right? Now the thing is, in the RAM, 4 memory chip, and in each memory chip, 2 raised to power 11 memory cells are there, right? Now decoder is there, and decoder, how many address bits are required now? Tell me, how many address bits? Now you know the memory cell 2 raised to power 13. So it means 13 address bits are required. The first 2 address bit for selecting the particular memory chip, and remaining 11 bits for selecting the particular cell in the remaining. So another way, if you see what I am saying, let's remove this part. Another, see this diagram. So 4 is required. This one, this 2, 3, 4. 4 memory chips are required. So 13 address bits is there. So A0 to A12, right? So A11, the A11 bit, the line, and A12 line, address line. These 2 bit for checking which chip I need to select. Let's suppose this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, right? So this 2 bit 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, right? So let's suppose the information is coming 1 0 on these 2 bits, A11 A12. So this 1 0 means, okay, the second chip I need to select. So this particular chip will be selected, right? This particular chip will be selected. Now the remaining bits from A0 to A10. That number, let's suppose this number is 1023. Let's suppose. So inside the selected chip, we will select the cell number is 1023. That particular cell I need to read or write depend upon the operation, type of operation. I need to do read or write, and that type of operation will come on the control lines. Guys, make sense for everyone? Shirin Didi?
So since it's 1 0, we are selecting the second decoder, right? From
Right.
0 to
No,
1.
no, decoder is selecting the particular memory chip.
Okay, okay. So
Decoder is what is,
after
yeah,
that, it performs the read or write operation based upon the operator given, right?
right. Actually, the incoming address line on the decoder, how many? 13 address lines are coming from A0 to A12.
Okay.
Right. See, this thing is again you are again forgetting. I think this is CPU and that is your decoder. Then you have a memory chip. Right. So whatever the CPU is generating the request, first it will go to the decoder, and decode will actually enable the particular cell. Right. So now the size of the memory is 2 raised to power 13 into 8, means 13 bit address bits are there. So there are 13 address bits. The incoming 13 address bits are there. So from that, let's suppose A0 to A12, these are the bits. From A12 and A11, from these two bits we will select the particular memory chip. Which memory? Because we have four memory chip. Let's suppose the second memory chip we are selecting. Up inside the second memory chip, the remaining bits A0 to A10, A0 to A10, this 11 bit, the particular memory cell inside the selected memory chip will be selected. Right?
Okay, sir. Understood.
Yep. This is how we implement the RAM if a chip configuration is there. So now if you see, yep, now if you see, this is your RAM, right? This is your chip memory configuration, 2k into 8, again 2k into 8, similarly 2k into 8, and one more is there, 2k into 8, the 4 one, right? And let's suppose decoder is there at this place. The first two address line, the 8 A11 and 812, this one A11, and these two bit will decide which memory configuration. Let's suppose this one is selected. Now inside this decoder is there, the remaining line from A0 to A10, 11 lines, the particular cell will be selected. On that cell, let's suppose this is a cell, on that cell we write the data, and 8-bit data. So we are writing the 8-bit data. Let's suppose we are writing 1100011. This information we are writing on the particular memory cell. Our work is done. That's it. We write the data because CPU asked us. And now thing is very interesting thing I just want to show you. These are the lines. See here, the lines are there, right? These are the lines where the address bits are moving or the data are moving. These are the lines on the chip itself. So this is a communication line, right? So we call internal bus of the memory chip, or you can say internal bus for the RAM, right? And there are other bus, system bus. There are system bus where from that chip where CPU is there, the everything is connected. That is a external bus, or you can say a system bus, right? I think we are okay. Any doubt on the memory organization, you can ask. Okay, that is an interesting thing. Now, all the binary information you can't read, right? All the binary information you can't read. So many bits are there. So the normal human can't read or understand that number of bits. So we represent this binary information for the human readable in the hexadecimal form. For the hexadecimal form. So hexadecimal form means if the this one thing represent 4 bit. The one element of the hexadecimal represent 4 bits. So let's suppose if you are 16 bits, binary bits, 16 binary bits are there. So the 4 elements are sufficient, right? You know this 0 to 15 range of the hexadecimal, right? A normal decimal is 0 to 9. Your hexadecimal is 0 to 15. This is what I'm talking about, right? So we can represent this binary information into F, 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 F. Now the thing is, now actually how the computer, if for the human readable hexadecimal is there, okay, we understood, but computer can't understand this hexadecimal. Computer need, the processor need only binary information. So what we need required so that a computer can understand this hexadecimal, a decoder is required. Decoder will actually decode for the CPU. This decoder is there, the hexadecimal is coming, it will convert into binary. So let's suppose f f f is there, so 16 lines will come here. So 4 by 16 you can say. It is a 4 by 16, you can say, as a decoder for the hexadecimal. So different types of decoders are there in the machine, different types of decoders. So one of the decoder is like this. Earlier we are discussing address decoder, right? So this one we are discussing human, this hexadecimal decoder. Hmm, right? Okay, okay, let's see one gate question. Maybe you will okay, now guys, try this gate 2016 question. Very easy question, understand. Okay, leave. One more thing better, I will discuss that part. Okay, I till now I discussed about one cell means 8 bit, right? One cell means 8 bit. Now you are that 8 bit also we called word length. 8 bit also we called word length. This is a one word. That is a default part. If no information is given in the question, we always assume one word means 8 bit, means 1 byte, or one cell means 1 byte. But there is in the question, they will say one word means 2 byte, 4 byte, 8 byte, 16 byte. Different types of variation will be possible, right? So that the meaning of this means, the meaning is if one cell is 16 bit means a 16 data lines are there attached on the RAM, so that 16 from the 16 data lines we can transfer the data to the CPU. Or if 64 bit word space is there, it means, or cell size is there, it means 64 data lines are there on the RAM. Through the data lines we can read or write the data on the RAM. That is the meaning. So by default one cell is always 8 bit, right? But in the question, if the configuration of the RAM is different, of the CPU is different, that's why we always say 16-bit processor, 64-bit processor, 32-bit processor. It means 32 data lines are there, 64 data lines are there, means that particular processor at a time can read 64 bits. That lines are there. That is the meaning. So if one cell is 8 bit, we always called byte addressable memory. That RAM is a byte addressable memory. If one cell is 8 bit, one cell is 8 bit, we call byte addressable memory. If one cell is word and that word size is greater than 8 means it is 16, 64, 32 or 128, whatever. So we call this is a word addressable memory. Word address to differentiate between. So default one is always byte addressable, But in the question, if they will ask the word addressable memory, then we have to consider word addressable memory. Okay, the second thing is it's a byte-wide storage. Already I discussed that part. This is a byte-wide storage and this is a word-wide storage, because in the byte addressable, each cell is 1 byte. And same now 64K into 8. What does mean? This 8-bit is a cell size. Now in other way, this 16 means a 16-bit is a cell size. So that's why it's a word addressable. Means a one cell is equal to 2 byte is given. And number of memory cell 64K. 64K. And the number of address lines are required for 64K. 2 raised to power 16 means 16 bits are required for the address line. Here the cell size is different, right? But the number of memory cells are same. Number of memory cells are same, but the size of the cell is different. In the byte addressable, it is 8-bit. In the word addressable, it is 16-bit. So the number of address line are required for the both configuration are same, right? Because 16-bit data lines are there. At a time, we can read 16-bit data from the RAM or write. So ultimate, in other way, if I will say, in other way, I will say CPU, or this is memory, main memory. The transfer from the main memory to CPU is always word by word. So irrespective of the size of the word, it's always word by word. If it is a 32-bit processor, then 32-bit data will be transferred from main memory to CPU. If 64-bit processor, then 64-bit will be transferred to the CPU. If 16-bit processor, you know that 8085 microprocessor is a 16-bit processor. So that particular processor only receives 16-bit because 16-bit data lines are there. Your 8085 microprocessor is a 16-bit microprocessor. Similarly, here we are using 64-bit microprocessor operating system. Okay, that's all about byte addressable and word addressable. And you understood the memory chip configuration. Now, there are two important points. The first note is the default memory configuration in the computer design is byte addressable. Right? If nothing is mentioned about the word size in the question, you need to consider 1 byte always. So this is your memory unit, 2 raised to k words, right? And data lines. See, this is the end data lines. So 16, 8, 32, 64, depend upon the word size, right? And here the lines read and write which operation. If read pin is set, means if read is 0, this is read. If it is 1, a pin, read or write means a pin is there. On the pin, if it is 0, we say it is read. If it is 1, we say it is write, like this, right? So that information come from the CPU. CPU will generate everything. Now guys, now try this question. This is your first gate question from the computer architecture subject. And I think it's a 1 marks question in the gate. Shrini 31. Okay, good. So your processor support how much RAM? 4 GB. 4 GB they are supporting. 4 GB means what? This GB is 2 raised to power 30. This 2 form is 2 raised to power 2. So 2 raised to power 32. Okay, let's suppose where the memory is word addressable. Okay, that word addressable mention, and word consists of 2 byte. Word consists of 2 byte. 2 byte means 16 bit in single word. A cell size. Cell size is 16 bit. Right? So the number of size address bus of processor of at least minimum. Now tell me, the word size is 16-bit. Chirindi, 31 is right or wrong?
Sir, it should be divided by 2 also, right? Because 2 bits, the word consists of 2 bytes, right? So
Okay,
2 power 32 by 2 will come, right?
okay. You are saying, okay, it's fine. Better all in the starting, you should do brainstorming with each other. Better by yourself also and with each other. You are saying, think from the hardware perspective always. Always think from the hardware perspective. You are saying 2 raised to power 32 divided by 2. Why 2 here? Just tell me first. I understood the whole memory size is 2 raised to power 32. That is means 4 GB. Okay, that part is fine. Why
Yeah.
you divided by 2?
The size of word is 2 bytes, right?
Why you are dividing your upper part in the bits and you are dividing with 2 bytes? How the calculation will happen? The upper part byte is there, so my mistake.
It's
Sorry.
4 GB, so it's 2 power
4 GB
32
is
bytes.
byte.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Its byte is there. This B is a big, so B is a byte. Right. Right. Now right. If it is bits, then you have to take care of that. If 4 GB, it means 2 raised to power 32 bytes, and 1 byte means 8 bits. Right? So if you divide into bits, 2 raised to power 32 into 8 bits, it become 2 raised to, this one it becomes. Now you can divide in, you can play around with the bits. But if everything is byte is given, then it's fine. So 31 bits address is required. 31 bit address bus is required. Right. One byte is 2 byte. So 2 raised to power 32 divided by 2, it become 2 raised to power 31 memory cells. And each memory cell is 2 byte. Each memory cell is 2 byte. Each memory cell is 2 byte. So each memory cell is 2 byte and number of memory cell 2 raised to power 31. 2 raised to power 31 into 2. 2 raised to power 32. In another way, you can calculate the memory size or you can calculate the number of address bit. If I will say the same thing, if I will say 31 bit address bus size is given, means 31 address lines are there, right? And each memory cell size is 16 bit. Each memory cell size is 16 bit, let's suppose, right? So what you will say, okay, the number of memory cells are there 31 and 2 raised to power 4. So 2 raised to 34 35 bits is there. So 2 raised to 35 bits. If you want to convert into byte, then divide into 2 raised to 3. It will 2 raised to power 32, which is 4 GB. Like this. So be careful about bits and byte. If we they will say in the question, let's suppose right now bits, let's suppose this is not a big B, 4 GB. If B is small, if B is small, then it is bit. If B is capital, then it is byte. Right? So always careful about this thing. So when you are dividing, when you are multiplying, when you are addition, doing the addition, when you're doing the subtraction, whatever, be careful. You are doing the division byte by byte or byte by bit. So you need to convert as per requirement. Okay, guys, this question is clear. Guys, okay. I think the last one, I think for today. Okay, the 16-bit processor means a word size is 16 and byte, you know, 8-bit. If 32-bit processor means a 32-bit and byte is 8-bit. 64-bit processor means a 64-bit word size means our data lines are 64-bit and byte, you know, 8-bit. Okay. The first point is clear. The default is byte addressable. The second note is the last point. Second note is, let's suppose the multiple cells are there. Your word, this is a word addressable, right? It is a word addressable request is coming. Now the thing is CPU is generating the request. CPU is generating the request, and what they are saying, I want to move the data. That's the instruction. This is the instruction. I want to move the data from source to destination. This AX is the register address. This is a register address, and this is the address of the main memory. This way we represent. So don't worry about that part. Uh, in the later lectures we will discuss in details what is the representation of memory, what is the representation of register, just for now. So the meaning of this instruction is we are moving the data, we are transferring the data from source to destination. So this is your source and this is your target, and your word length is greater than 8-bit, right? Now you understand your word length is greater than 8-bit. And let's suppose in other way, I said one cell is 16-bit, right? But in the deep level, or internally, each cell is always 8-bit. Another way we say one word contain 2 cell, one word contain 4 cell, one word contain 8 cell, right? We always, at low level, we always play at 8-bit only, means the address representation will be 8-bit only. Okay, that 8-bit I fetch and I write on that. Now let's suppose what I'm saying, if the word size, different combination is there, depend upon the question. If word size is 2 cell, if they mention like this, it means now the address representation always on the cell way. Now 2 address are required to read the one word. Let's suppose 2000 and 2001 and 2000 are continuous 2001. So this address and this address, both address required from the main memory to fetch the data 16 byte. This is 8-bit and this is 8-bit, right? The continuous, the starting address is 2000, then go to 2001, like this. So now you understood that part, but the problem will come. Let's suppose you did not decide the order of how will you store now 16-bit data is there, let's suppose 16-bit, and you are writing that higher byte where you will store, on the lower address or higher address. Similarly, a lower byte of the data, where will you store, on the lower byte or higher byte? That we need to decide at the design level. When we are designing the computer system, that CPU, that processor, then we need to decide we need to store at the lower byte address or higher address, or that we call endian scheme. So that part we will discuss in the next lecture. I think for today it is sufficient, right guys? You got the problem what I'm saying, guys? Anyone? Okay, I think that's it from today's lecture. Any question, guys, you can ask. Maybe a general question, maybe this is your first lecture, it's fine. Any general question if you are facing something, you can ask. Otherwise we are good to go. Guys?
So,
No?
what books can we refer for questions, sir?
Okay, the good question. I don't recommend books, first of all, as per my personal experience, especially for the computer science. Books always time consuming, always. Better you go for reading articles about this particular topics. Let's suppose near about 25 topics we covered. Let's suppose a small from the small level we covered 30 topics. If you are not able to solve any gate question, or if you are feeling something, better you go particular article and read that. Why I'm saying book is time consuming, and article means a proper like a journal, like a paper. You need to read about the journal, about that paper, about that particular topic, so that you can understand everything. Like book seems like always time consuming. There's so much information in the book, here and there, here and there, here and there. So I don't recommend a book. Still, after few lectures, I will tell particular book if something is in my mind. So I don't recommend that journal book actually, which you normally study in the BTech. I don't recommend. It's a time consuming for now. That's my personal experience. I know if you are looking for the gate rank and a top rank, then better you go for whatever the material I will share, and so other materials from all the institutes. Maybe you can talk about Made Easy, maybe talk about essay, every material I will share. So I am not restricted to myself only to this IIT and GATE classes. Every content I will share, so you can compare the content, you can discuss, so that you can understand everything from other perspective also. Okay, the names thing I will share in future. Fine, no need to worry. So don't think about the books. Better you go first through my PPTs, and in future classes I will share the other contents and read that content also. After that, if you are not able to solve one question from the gate now, then tell me, sir, I am facing this problem, where I can get the content. Then I will tell which book you need to read. Right? See, for the computer organization and for the database, I don't recommend the book. Simple. There is no need for the book. But for the computer network, I recommend the book. Yeah, that book you need to read, because the computer network is a scenario based question, right? Scenario based means different networks are there. This one is connected to this one, and the data is going, and routing and everything. Then you need open mind to think. So you need a theory for understanding the computer network questions. But this computer organization and database is a straightforward. There is no scenario in this. This is a hardware design. If some data we are putting, what will happen, like that. So there is a design. So we are teaching everything at the design level. So there is no theory or no scenario based question in the computer organization database. Yes, for the computer network, surely you need to read the book, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so no worry. Any other question? And in the starting, I'm telling, in the end, maybe after October, most probably, you need to join multiple test series, not only this IIT and GATE class test series, multiple test series. So we are not restricting to this particular institute. We are worried about the actually GATE exam. We are looking for the good rank. That's it. So in however we can get good the rank, we will provide the material. I have everything in my mind. So this is your first class. So it's fine. We'll share everything. No need to worry. Okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, you can leave.